been kind of systematically built in. So the thing you're seeing now, and that alone, before I move on, that is white privilege. All white privilege is just you not having to worry about whether you're going to get the job. Because for a long time, whites never had these. You didn't get, like, why do you think Caucasians can talk to the police? They do. Like, I'm not saying every white person does this, but what I'm saying is when a white person does this, the repercussions are much less. Because cops aren't afraid of them as much, or they are better to deal with. Like, we can't tell the police, what the hell are you pulling me over for? Oh, this is bullshit, or, oh, this is crap. Are you kidding me? You're giving me a ticket. We can't do things like that. And if we can't. And even if you think we can, we definitely don't feel like we can. You know? Little things like that. That is white privilege. And that's what it's not white privilege is not like pure. White privilege is not you getting the job because you're white. It's you not feeling like you're not going to get the job because you're white. It's you having confidence to do things. It's you never having to worry or think about if it's your skin tone or if it's how you look. If that is going to affect the next thing or step you take. That is what white privilege is. And now, the way things have been coming, whites are starting to feel the same things where, you know, a lot of like jobs, like you hear the things where they have to hire at least one minority or things like this now. Different pays, minorities are becoming more successful, and a lot of whites are getting the same treatment that minorities are getting and have been getting forever in this country. So now you have a lot of whites that are like, did I not get the job? They hired the black guy over me just because he's black, or they, you know, like the black cop, did he pull me over just to prove a point? Or like, you know, especially with social media now, it's so easy to get hyped and wrapped up in these things. And that's all it is, man. Don't be blind, and like it is like a lot of things are about class nowadays. But you got to understand where it evolved from. And to some level, it's always been about class. Like in slave days, if you were a very rich white man or if you were a poor-ass farmer, the poor farmer is going to lose that battle every time. But when the poor farmer goes to town, he blends in with everyone in town, except for the minorities. And he doesn't get that terrible level of treatment. If you have just the rich, wealthy slave owner, you have the poor white farmer. The rich white slave owner will treat that farmer a little less than himself. But if you add a minority into their slave or any of those, just a minority in general, a lot of times both of these people kind of look down upon this person. Or the rich guy won't mess with the poor white farmer because he has a bigger fish to fry, or there's something more important. And so that's kind of, I'm saying that's what happened back then. So now see that now it's no more, you don't have really that poor white farmer. You don't have the rich white plantation. You don't have just the dusty slave. Now you kind of just have lower class, upper class, or upper class, middle, lower class. Because middle class right here is kind of over here now. It's such a smaller chunk of the pie. And so many whites are affected by this now, which is why now, in the 70s, 80s, 90s, now you hear complaining. But you didn't hear this in the 50s. You didn't hear that in the 60s. You didn't hear that. I wasn't alive back then. But look at history. It's when the books are written, there's not complaints. Aside from if you really look at like the Great Depression or something like that, then you can find things. But if you look at a thriving era in the golden age of America, the golden age of America, that's what it was. So don't confuse race. Like I would say, racism is conscious. There's subconscious racism, but I would say it's conscious. Like, a lot of people choose to not like people. A lot of people choose to treat someone a certain way. That's not white privilege. That is not. All white privilege is, you are privileged to not have the stress or worries that the everyday minority has and has had forever. That's a privilege. Okay? That's all it is. But now, they have those stresses. These things are happening to them. Which is why a lot of whites can't understand. They're like, what do you mean? I'm not privileged. I work hard. I'm poor. I have to do, and they do. But our point is that it's happening to you now. Now that it's happening to most Americans as opposed to just the minorities or just the poor Americans, now it's a problem. Because for a long time the middle class was strong and it was growing, it was thriving, but now it's disappearing, it's fading slowly. It's kind of coming back, but it's slowly going away too. I don't know how to explain that. It's kind of leveling out, I'd say, but it's trying to fix itself. And that's all it is right now. That's all white privilege is. So think about it. When you're driving, like, we all get afraid when the police get behind us. When we're driving our car and the police pull up behind us, without turning the sign, they're just driving. Maybe they follow us a little bit. We're all afraid. But the privilege is you're not afraid to get beat up. You're not afraid you might get shot. You're not afraid you might go to jail. And if you are a little bit, maybe you are towards the end, but minorities, from the very fucking second that a cop car is behind us, we're scared as shit for all those things. Jail, dead, hurt, ticket, all that, everything, right? And that's the privilege. That's all it is. It's just your feeling. It's just how do you respond to situations. And through the system, the way America has grown and developed and changed and become, there's this white privilege now. And it's always been there. But like I say, now that it's going away, there's so many whites that don't know what it is. They're like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? Because now you're feeling what we have felt forever. Okay? And that's all it is. I feel like you shouldn't be angry about that. You shouldn't be like, don't try to find a piece in history. 1732 right there. Poor whites were poor. The Irish were very poor when they came here. Okay. Most people, if you go back to pilgrims and shit, everyone was poor when they came here. There was no one had a bank account here. You didn't have nothing here. Everyone was poor when they came here. But they built the country for them. Those poor people that came here built the country for them and made something. And it grew into what it was. And there were still poor people, even though it was growing big. It just wasn't the majority of Caucasians, whites. Okay? So, I think I'm going to leave it there. Before I feel like I'm just starting to kind of say the same thing over and over. I just hope I'm just trying to explain it without being mean or something. I don't think you should feel offended. I'm half white, I'm half black. And I say that because I'm not the average mixed person that kind of only grew up around their white family or only grew up around their black family. I literally had a pretty good chunk of both experiences. I've lived both lives. I've lived every life except for being rich. But I remember as a kid, and maybe that's not white privilege, but that's just a kid. No kid really worries too much, but poor kids do sometimes. But even poor kids don't realize they're poor. It's not until you start getting into like middle school, high school, where you're like, oh shit, this person's got a phone, or this person's shoes are pretty cool. Like, that's when you start noticing things. As a kid, you don't care. If you're having fun, if you enjoy life, it's you. But my point is that there was a time, until I got called a nigger in 5th grade, I never thought about really race until I went home and asked my parents. You know what I'm saying? I never thought about that. I never thought friends, like, people didn't want to play with me. But, like, and it's crazy. Like, I look back when I grew up in Green Bay, man, a lot of, like, and granted, I was I was loud, I was an annoying kid, but I was still fun, and I was goofy, and I was silly, I was cool to be around. But a lot of teachers, I had a lot of shit from a lot of adults. And I think me being black added to my already high energy and goofiness, because I seen a lot of white kids doing the same things I was doing, but when I was caught doing them, I was punished hard, or I was suspended, or I was put in detention, or I had to sit in the front of the classroom, or I had to do whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying I was perfect, but I'm saying a lot of people around me were doing the same things, but it was Johnson, or it was the other. You notice these things. So that's all I want to say about it. And everything is getting better. It's constantly getting better. People are waking up more and more. It's good that there's not as much white privilege now, because now a lot of Caucasians are upset and they're seeing it. But the thing is, they still can't see the white privilege that still is there and that they had, or that there was there in the past. And that's the only thing. Don't tear each other down. Don't destroy each other. We literally need to be unified, because right now it's about money. Have and have not. There's a lot of people with it that are controlling all of us without it. So if you're gonna constantly be looking to it's the police brutality, it's the thugs in the street, it's these Muslims, it's the Mexicans taking our jobs, it's the protesters in Standing Rock, it's the teachers' unions, you better take a deep breath, look in the mirror, and think like I do. I look in the mirror and think, is it really all that shit that you're hearing on the TV that's paid for by rich people? That you're getting your messages from rich Fox News, rich CNN? That you're getting your messages from these people? So is it all these things that are affecting you, or is it really that the people that you put in charge don't have your best interest like you thought they did? They don't have your back like you thought they did. Or maybe you voted for someone and you didn't stay involved. So understand that I think everything's getting better. Power of social media is awesome, and we're more connected. People are learning from each other more and more every day. I don't know everything. I'm wrong. I could be very wrong half the time. I've showed my coach half the videos coming here to Kansas City. There are a few things I'm wrong, and I'm gonna have to remake a couple videos or correct some things in some of them. So be humble. Be willing to accept that you might not know what you think you know. Be willing to try to learn from someone else. I try to get my point across, but I still listen to people in my Facebook comments and stuff, because you don't understand the experiences everyone had. You don't know where everyone's coming from or where they're going, but you can't know where you're going unless you know where you're from. So look at history. Look at what happened. Look at what's happening. And just think. Just think. It's hard sometimes. Sometimes we think the same things too much. Sometimes we need to relearn things we already knew. Keep talking with more people. Keep speaking with people. You can't listen if you're speaking. It's a fact. So if you want to learn something, or if you're in a conversation, shut up. And I'm talking to myself a little bit too. Shut up, look them in the eye, and listen. Don't hold your breath thinking. Breathe. And listen to them. Really listen. Try to understand them. Put yourself in their position. If you were them, would you feel the same way? And that's the best way to go about interacting with people, is putting yourself where they are. I'm going to make a video about the Mexicans that aren't taking your jobs, because everyone's worried about that. You know, the real jobs Mexicans are taking, I'm gonna put this in a little sneak peek right here, but the real jobs Mexicans take, or undocumented citizens, are the hard jobs, farming things, jobs where you're like putting your arm up a cow's ass. So if you think you lost your job at the bank or at the flea market or the superstore because an undocumented citizens are coming here, you're sadly mistaken. That's something they're spreading to really fire you up. And the reason they're getting those jobs is because so many of us are going to college and we think we're too good to do these things. A lot of us won't lower our standard. We don't want to work at farms. We don't want to be a janitor. We don't want to cook food behind a restaurant. Those are jobs that we need people for. You always need poor people. You always need people that are looking to grow and get better. And you always need immigrants. You always need new people coming here, starting from the ground up. Because otherwise, there's no one who's going to do that. No one is going to do those jobs, especially us, because now we're at a point in America where everyone feels so, I got my degree in school, I should be getting paid $20 an hour. I can't believe this, but I can't find a job. You can't find a job because you are trying to find a job in a place where everyone else is trying to find a job as well. And out of everyone trying to get that, you think big corporations are hiring undocumented citizens to do the job you went to college for however long you went? No. Undocumented citizens have very fucking hard jobs, very dirty jobs. So think about that before you try to blame them on why you don't have something or why you couldn't get your house payment or whatever. All I'm saying is look around. Be real. Research. Exhaust your resources. That's all I'm saying for this. Peace, war. I love you guys. Tomorrow I fight for all the people. Whites, blacks, Mexicans, Asians. Don't care where you're from. Don't care where you're from. I know where I'm going. I came here to fucking win.